The treasure map versus the movie characters is just around the corner, and today I have some free-to-play speed teams that I'll be showing you. These teams use mostly free-to-play characters with like maybe one or two non-free-to-play units scattered around these teams, but I've tried to make it as accessible as possible. We don't use any Super Sugafist exclusives or anything like that. This treasure map is beginning on the 18th of October at 1 AM PST, so mark that down on your calendars. But without further ado, let's begin. But before we get into that, let's talk about the new Baccarat Dice and Mr. Tanaka treasure map unit that is debuting in this treasure map. So this is a quick powerhouse and shooter unit, interesting class combination. The captain effect is actually pretty usable, a 4.25x going up to a 5x after 4 greats. Your attack is reduced if you do hit perfect strikes, you get healing, and you also get berries boosted, which is a nice free to play option if you don't have Kamarasaki or the new Gran Tesoro or the new Nami and Karina Legend. So it's a nice free to play option. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be used too much, but 4.25x is still not bad. 5x is a bit ridiculous that you need to hit 4 great strikes, and also the fact that you get your attack reduced with every perfect definitely reduces the usability as this character as your captain. As for a special maxing out at 13 turns after expansion, is going to reduce bind by 7, give you a teeny bit of healing, and then also a 77% enemy defense reduction for 1 turn. They'll then give you a 2x conditional attack boost for defense down enemies for 3 turns. And then also if you land 4 great strikes in this turn, you'll get another defense reduction of 77% in the following turn. But this time it goes through any type of immunity. So that's very cool. It means that this character could be used in Super Boss or just a regular Kizuna to get a conditional boost on the final stage. Considering the fact that every single Kizuna has a full immunity, sometimes there is a bit of an exclusion, but most of the time this will definitely be used to give you a conditional attack boost. So as a free-to-play unit, this is a very strong effect, not only because of the defense down going through full immunity, but also the fact that you have a really strong utility in that bind. So very strong character. I do definitely see this being used. The cooldown is a bitchy high, 12 turns would have been nice, but also I really wish the defense down was 100%. It definitely would have made this unit a bit more usable, meaning you could also use this to get around enemy defense up. Still a very solid character, and I definitely see this character being used. Crewmate abilities are interesting. 1.1x against strength enemies is very cool. It means that when you're using this character against a strength boss, which is the scenario you'd usually be using this character, you're going to get an extra 10% stats on this unit, which is very cool. Barrier Pen, always nice to have. And then also we have Hunger, which is really nice to have. As for the support effect, attaching to Gran Tesoro and Karina, obviously the main characters you'd be using is the new super evolution of Gran Tesoro, and then also the new legend Karina and Nami. So this support is going to allow you to get bind and despair reduced by 2 turns upon infliction, which is an absolutely amazing support effect. Definitely will be used in future, especially when you are using these characters such as the new legends. So definitely makes this character out great special, pretty usable captain in certain circumstances, and a very nice support that definitely should be seeing play in the future. So that's going to be it for this character. Definitely like this unit, a very fun character and interesting to work with, especially in Kizuna for a guaranteed conditional. But let's get into the teams themselves. So for the first mini boss, it is against Sparnum, who is a Dex unit. This is the first mini boss, meaning everyone gets cooldown, meaning we have a lot less restriction when team building. For this team in particular, we are using Law and Kid as our captain because they have a very nice 4.5x attack multiplier and also 3-turn despair utility, which is relevant to this quest. Not only that, but Law and Kid have an amazing special that will allow us to get wave clear on stage 2 and also carry over a bunch of chain buffs as well as a end of turn damage, which in this quest is very helpful because there is resilience. So Law and Kid are just perfect for this. They get around 3 of the turns of the despair with their captain. We're going to get around the last 2 turns with the support of Corazon on them. And then for the defense up, we have another character to get around that I'll explain in a moment. And then for the resilience, we have the end of turn damage from Law and Kid special. So the basic rundown of this team is stage 1, we're just going to attack. Stage 1, we're going to use the special of Jimbei to wave clear. Stage 2, we use the special of Law and Kid to wave clear, give us a 3-turn chain boundary, 3-turn chain growth rate, and a 3-turn end of turn damage. Final stage, we use the special of Big Mom to give us a full board of similar orbs, which she does count as matching with her crewmate ability. Make sure you have Big Mom's level limit break at max to ensure that her special gives you the most damage possible. It will still work if you don't have her maxed, but it's going to give you a lot less damage if you don't. Then we use Wiper to give the enemy defense down to 0 and proc it with a conditional attack boost. So that's going to allow us to get around the enemy's defense up, as well as give us a lot more damage. So overall, this team is really good. It should last up to nav level 300 or 400 even, because we do have Kanjuro and Jumbe on the bottom row, which are boosted units. They're going to be hitting like trucks. So we have Chain from Law and Kid, Conditional from Wiper, and then all the other boosts and matching orbs from Big Mom. 2 specials, 1 support, very fast, and we have full wave clear, and very happy with this team. And let's get into the next one, which is against the, forgot his name, Raise Max. Once again, a Dex boss. This time you are using double Treasure Map Whitebeard as the captain. Make sure your Whitebeard is at level limit break 3. I don't think you need to have him maxed because he's special. We aren't really using it much. So yeah, you don't need him to be maxed, just level limit break 3. How the team works is, stage 1 we're actually just going to kill with normal attacks, unfortunately, but it's 2 turtles, they're very easy to kill. It's not going to affect the speed much at all. Strength, Int, and Psi units get their cooldown, so keep that in mind when you are team building. But for this team, we have to get around damage reduction, threshold, and defense up, as well as special rewind, attack down, and block orbs. The enemy also has a revive where they revive with 1 turn of damage nullification and 1000 HP. So very slow quest, yeah, because of the revive, but this team gets around it pretty well. Not the fastest option, but definitely a nice team in terms of the damage. So on the first stage, we're just going to kill normally, as I said before. Stage 2, we use the special of Jack, which is going to allow us to get a very nice 3-turn color affinity for the final stage. Then on the final stage, we use the special of Luffy. He's going to get around the rewind. He'll also get around the defense up, threshold, and damage reduction. The thing is, Luffy's going to be the only unit dealing damage on this team because he does allow himself to bypass enemies' defensive effects, which is really important. And I'm not too concerned about that because Luffy has boosted stats, so he's going to be hitting with insane damage. We have the support on Buggy on Luffy for a 2x attack boost for himself. Then we can use the special of What's-His-Face, Weevil, to give our Uta a turn of cooldown, and then also give us an orb boost, and also get around the block orbs. Finally, we can use Uta to give us a 2x conditional attack boost, get around the last turn of attack down, and also give us a 1.1 chain boost. And yeah, that's basically it for this team. We have Jozu, which is going to get around 2 of the turns of the attack down. If you don't have Jozu, don't worry, just use Uta twice. It will be a bit slower, but it's still viable if you don't have Jozu. You may be wondering, what are we going to do on the revive? Because the enemy does have damage nullification. But luckily, Whitebeard is not only a good captain, but he's also very good in terms of his special. On the revive, we'll use Whitebeard to deal damage through enemies' defensive effects, which will allow us to kill the enemy swiftly. So don't worry about that, just use Whitebeard special and you will be fine. For the second last mini boss team against Karina, she is a strength boss this time, and we are running 2 quick units, meaning we have quite good damage here. Yogoro is a boosted unit. He's the only boosted character on this team, which, I mean, it is what it is. You don't need a very high boost on mini boss teams. Only the final boss and intrusion. For the mini boss, you should be focusing on speed over points. But how this team works is, we have Eneru as the captain. Make sure he's at level limit break 3. You don't even need him maxed. Only level limit break 3 for his upgraded captain. Beyond that, it really doesn't make any difference. So this the strength, dex, and quick units are going to get cooldown for this fight, and we have to deal with a bunch of annoying effects on the final stage. 5 turns defense up, 6 turns defense up, 5 turns damage reduction. Our orbs get changed to block. We have to deal with a 3.5x or less chain attack down, and we also have to deal with a 1 turn, 1 rainbow slot barrier on the enemy. To boot, it makes it super hard to get a good chain to get around the chain attack down, because whenever we have a chain locking effect, the duration of it gets reduced by 2 turns. So it means you have to run a 3-turn chain locker for this to work. Unfortunately, that also applies to Chain Boundary since they are the exact same icon buff, so I'm pretty sure Chain Boundary effects also get reduced by 2 turns. So that's why I'm using Crocodile, who is a Clash character available in the Recollection Archive or on Tuesdays in the Clash rotation. And this character is really good because he gives us a 3-turn Chain Boundary effect, which goes very well with the support of Doflamingo, or you could use Zoro on your Yogoro. So there's many different options here. Or if you have this unit who is the best option, you could also run the Mr. 1 support for a 0.7 chain boost. Either one of these with Crocodile is going to allow you to get to that 3.5x chain very fast and will allow you to kill the enemy through the chain attack down. So use whichever one you have. Mr. 1 is the best option for damage, and then the other two are a bit lower, but they still work very well. Then we have the character of Hyogoro to get around the enemy's 6 turns of defense up, as well as give us a color affinity boost. Then we have the Kuja Pirates from the Kizuna, who's going to allow us to get around the enemy's damage reduction of 5 turns, as well as give us an attack boost of 2x and a 1.5x conditional attack boost. Then we have Izo, who's going to allow us to get around the enemy's barrier, as well as give us cooldown, which will allow our other units to be ready. So make sure you use Izo first, then all of your other characters, otherwise they won't be ready. And then on stage 1 and 2, you can use your Eneru specials to wave clear. They will be ready because even though they don't get cooldown from the quest itself, if you do have the level limit break at 3 or higher, then the captain abilities will charge their specials at the start of the quest. So stage 1 and 2, Eneru, and then on the final stage, Izo, Crocodile, Yogoro, and then the Kuja Pirates. So that's going to be it for this team. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm very happy with what it can do. And let's get into the next mini boss, which is against the Lucci fight, which is probably the hardest mini boss we've ever had in Treasure Map history. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's even harder than the intrusion and the final boss this time around, which means that this is very hard to do with a full free-to-play team, which is why unfortunately I am running Rayleigh, which is a non-free-to-play character. He's a very old rare recruit from the Roger and Odin batch. Hopefully you guys have him. The support of Sanji is not required. Doflamingo, once again, you could use also Zoro on your Rayleigh if you don't have him. So that's another option if you don't have Dofi. You could also use Uta support on your Luffy, the Raid Uta. I forgot her name, but yeah, this one that gives a 0.3 chain boost. That's a free-to-play option, but it's a lot weaker. But this is definitely the most ideal support composition here. Stage 1, we get 3 turns of blow away to our bottom row. Our Moray is going to resist it, so that's going to be a very important character on the team. As for Rayleigh, he doesn't resist it, but we're only using Rayleigh on the final stage, and luckily the blow away will be gone by then. Then on stage 1, we also we have to deal with a 1-turn barrier on the enemy for 3 tandem slots, so it's very annoying to get around that. But we are using our Moria special, which will allow us to remove it and also give us a orb boost. As for the final debuff on stage 1, which is going to be 2 turns of rewind to your friend captain, we don't have to worry about that. We can just ignore it for now. Our character will be ready again on the second stage, although I don't even think we'll be using his special, so it doesn't really matter. On stage 2, we have a bunch of annoying debuffs. We are going to use the special of Crocodile, which will not only allow us to get around the special bind, or at least 5 of the 6 turns of it, but also give us a captain swap, which will allow us to negate the random captain swap on the final stage. Smoker will also give us an attack boost, which will allow us to help kill on the second stage. But actually, before that, use your Luffy special, which will give us a 3-turn attack boost, which we will use for the final stage. So first use Luffy. We don't actually care about the the attack boost on Crocodile. Ignore what I said earlier. Then we use our Perona. Now Perona is a very good character because not only does she get around the despair and attack down on stage 2, but she also has a very nice and key crewman ability that allows you to reduce 1 turn of special bind for the entire crew. The special bind is 6 turns. Crocodile only gets around 5, so having that crewman ability of Perona is absolutely essential. So Perona is such an MVP here. She's also a boosted character, which helps with the points as well. Final stage, damage reduction and threshold of 5 turns. Rayleigh gets around that, gives us a color affinity. He also deals damage, meaning we can use the support of Sanji, the treasure map legend, for an orb boost. That alongside the attack boost and super type from Luffy. Luffy also improves the effectiveness of psi matching orbs to 2.25x, meaning our damage is going to be even higher. So our Captain Luffy's will be hitting like a truck alongside Rayleigh, meaning this team is going to be very nice in terms of the damage. You do unfortunately have to hit 3 perfects before you start dealing damage because of the chain attack down, but it is what it is. It's fine, it's not the end of the world. This team is still pretty decent in terms of the speed, and the damage is very high. So that's going to be it for this team. Sanji not required, but very recommended for the orb boost. Final boss, we are using Treasure Map Ace as the captain with the friend captain as Nami and Karina. Now you all saw this coming because that is going to be the best friend captain to run for points, damage, as well as utility. Such an amazing character to run as your friend captain. But let's give a basic rundown of how this team works. So on stage 1, we are going to use the special of our Gordon, and it doesn't matter who you give the initial cooldown to. What's important is that after 1 turn, he's going to give our captains 2 turns of cooldown. That's important because our captains will be ready again. That means our Nami and Karina can use their special as well as their super swap effect. The super swap will give us G orbs, which they count as favorable with their crewmate ability, with their super swap effect. And then they'll also give us a 3-turn base attack boost, which will last until the final stage, and also help us with damage there quite a bit. Then we use the special, get around the attack down, the special rewind, and also the threshold. So we don't have to worry about that at all. They are going to reduce our HP by 91%, which is quite hefty, but we should be fine. We will be able to survive it. Just make sure that you are running a ship that gives you HP, such as the whale sharks, because it will be quite tight, and I'm not sure if you will be able to survive it. But the reason why I'm saying that you might not survive it is because not only do they HP cut you by 91%, but on the 3rd battle, you get 30,000 damage as a preemptive. Now, it wouldn't be much of a problem if that damage was upon death, because we could just use a damage reducer, but since it's a preemptive, it means it's much harder to reduce that damage. So we are just going to be using a support of Marco on our ace. Now, once again, this is a legend, but he is going to be a very nice option to give us 4,000 HP, which alongside the damage reduction from a ship and also the healing from our auto heal, as well as the fact that our captains are pretty good HP boosters, means that we should be able to survive that death hit. Then on the final stage, we can use the special of Nami to give us 3 matching orbs to our quick units, which are the main units that are going to be attacking. The main important thing about Nami is that she doesn't remove all of the block orbs, because unfortunately on the final stage there is going to be a 1 block orb barrier, meaning we have to find a nice balance where we don't get rid of all the block orbs, but we also still have matching orbs so we can actually deal damage. So Nami's the perfect unit for that. She also gets around the paralysis all 6 turns of it with her crewmate ability and her special. Then we have Alvida for an orb boost, and you can add the support of Smoker for a attack boost on top of that. Also, I forgot to mention, but also use Ace's special on stage 2. He gives an attack boost, Nami and Karina gives an orb boost. It just goes very well together. Finally, use the special of Garp on the final stage to give you a very nice chain lock. Get around all the turns of the special bind. And then also, we have the support of Tsuru, which isn't very accessible, but she's a very old support character. If you have been doing 2 multis on every support banner, I am pretty sure you will be having this character. But she's a very nice unit. She's going to last to get around the resilience. And with all that, you should be able to kill. This team isn't for certain going to be able to survive the death hit, so do keep that in mind. I might have to upgrade this team to ensure that we can survive that 30,000 damage preemptive. But for now, this is what I'm running, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be very reliable. But for the next and final team of the video is going to be against the intrusion of Baccarat, Dice, and Mr. Tanaka. So this team, once again, we are using Ace. It's basically a replica of the previous team, and we have a bit of units that have changed here, such as we are running Queen, and then also the unit of Arena Shinobu, which is a very important character. But let's go through what the quest does. Stage 2, we get 3 turn very weak orb boost, 6 turns of damage reduction, a bunch of a bunch of sign into orbs, and then obviously normal attacks only. So what we're doing here is we're going to use the special of Shinobu, which is going to last to get around the 3-turn slot weak orb boost by removing beneficial effects. Then we can use the special of our also Shinobi gives us an attack boost, which is also very nice on stage 2 to allow us to kill the enemy. But as for the damage reduction, we are using the special of our Queen as well as Garp. So Garp is going to allow us to get around the special bind. Queen's going to allow us to get around 5 of the 6 turns of the damage reduction. The support of Sengoku is required to get around the last turn of the damage reduction on the enemy, unfortunately, but it's not too of a difficult character to acquire. So I'm pretty sure you guys will have that Sengoku. The support of King on your Queen is not required at all, so don't worry about that. Then we can also use the special of on the final stage we can use the special and super swap effect of our Karina and Nami, and that's going to allow us to get around the defense up, the attack down, and also get around the orb barrier. So one thing I forgot to explain was we get our orb set to Psi and Int on stage 2, which actually is counted as G orbs, or they are converted to G orbs with the captain ability of Nami and Karina. So one thing that you need to make sure you do on stage 2, you're gonna have a full board of G orbs. That's cool and all, but make sure you don't get rid of the G orb on your Alvida, because that's gonna be essential on the final stage. So on the final stage here, we're gonna get our top and bottom rows orbs set to super block. Now this is where it gets a bit ridiculous, but yeah, we're just gonna absolutely take it. Our middle row characters are gonna be the ones dealing damage. But yeah, the attack down, the defense up, all removed by the special of Nami and Karina. And there is an interrupt for an attack boost, so we aren't using any attack boosts. We have the special of Alvida for an orb boost, which with the support of Smoker gives us an attack boost as well, avoiding the interrupt. Alvida is also super key here because she gives us damage reduction, which allows us to survive the 150,000 death hit damage. And that's basically it for this team. I mean, there's not much to it. We have Ace here, but we only use him on stage 2, so for more damage. And he's also pretty much useless on the final stage because we do have an interrupt for attack boost. So very, very interesting team because the G orbs, there is a G orb barrier, so Queen's basically the only unit dealing damage here, which is why I also have the support of King for more chain, which was going to help with damage immensely. But it's pretty good in terms of the damage. I'm not sure how long it will last, but the points are pretty good as well, and I do think it will last for quite a long time. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about these teams, ask them down below. But with all that being said, make sure to like and subscribe for more units. For more teams like this in the future. Stay tuned for my speed teams, which is the ones I'm using that are not as accessible, not nearly as accessible, but have insane speed, and that will be the most optimal ones to use. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.